You ever lock your own pool and get the cops called on you? Because I did, and not just by anyone, but by the neighborhood Karen's teenage son, who apparently thought he was the owner of my backyard. The craziest part, he actually called 911 because I put a lock on my own pool gate. And that one phone call turned into one of the most ridiculous HOA showdowns I've ever lived through. It started off like any other Saturday. Blazing hot, not a single cloud in the sky. The kind of day when you can fry an egg on the sidewalk and nobody would be surprised. I was outside, sweat dripping off my forehead, securing a brand new padlock on my pool gate. I'd just gotten back from the hardware store, picked the strongest lock I could find, and finally had enough of random kids sneaking into my backyard for a dip without asking. It wasn't the first time this had happened either. Ever since I moved into this HOA-governed neighborhood, there's been a strange, unspoken attitude floating around like if you have something nice, it automatically belongs to the community, and nothing brings that out more than a private pool. My house is one of the few in the area with one, and for the most part, I didn't mind sharing it if people had the decency to ask . But when kids started showing up uninvited, hopping the fence, and bringing their friends over like I was running some free resort, I knew it had to stop. And the main culprit, Karen's son, Tyler. Now, if you've ever met a true HOA Karen, you know the type. She's got that layered blonde bob that never moves, mirrored sunglasses big enough to land planes with, and a permanent scowl that could sour milk. Karen's convinced she runs the neighborhood partly because she's on the HOA board, but mostly because no one has the energy to fight her. And Tyler? He's basically a carbon copy of his mom, entitled, loud, thinks rules are for other people, and he's been slipping into my backyard for weeks now, always with a smug grin and some excuse like my mom said it was okay. The first couple times, I let it slide. Kids being kids, I told myself. But then Tyler started bringing his friends, loud ones. They'd blast music, leave empty soda cans behind. And once I even caught them trying to light fireworks near the pool. That was the final straw. I walked over to Karen's house one afternoon and explained everything calmly. I told her I didn't feel comfortable with her son and his friends using my property. Without permission, she gave me that tight-lipped smile and said, "Oh, come on, they're just blowing off steam. It's not a big deal." Then she hit me with, "Besides, you live in an HOA. We all share things here." I couldn't believe it. My pool is not a community water feature. It's on my deed. It's fenced off for a reason, but she wouldn't hear it. So I did what any responsible homeowner would do. I upgraded my locks, put up a new private property, no trespassing sign, and installed motion-activated security cameras. If anyone tried to sneak in again, I'd have it on tape. That Saturday, I was just tightening the lock on the gate when I heard rustling on the other side. Sure enough, it was Tyler, and he wasn't alone. Two of his buddies were with him, and they were yanking at the gate like it was stuck. I watched for a second before stepping out from behind the fence. "Hey," I called out. What are you doing?" Tyler jumped back, caught off guard. Then he crossed his arms and said, "Why'd you lock it?" "We were gonna swim, because it's my pool," I replied. "You're not allowed to be back here. That's trespassing." He looked genuinely confused. "My mom says we're allowed. She's on the HOA board. She said this pool is for the whole street." I almost laughed out loud. "No, Tyler, your mom is wrong. This is my private property. You have no right to be here, and I have it all on camera." I pointed to the small black lens mounted above the gate. Blinking red, Tyler scowled, muttered something under his breath, and stormed off with his buddies. I figured that was the end of it. 10 minutes later, I'm inside sipping water, trying to cool off when I hear sirens. Not just neighborhood patrol real sirens. I step outside and see a police cruiser pulling up right in front of my driveway. Out jumps an officer, looking around like he's expecting to find a crime scene. "Can I help you, officer?" I ask, already annoyed but trying to stay civil. He gives me a nod and says, "We received a 911 call from a minor. He reported a locked public pool and possible danger behind the fence." I blinked, "You're kidding." He wasn't. He asked me if I could show him the area. So I walked him around to the back and showed him everything. The locked gate, the signs, the camera. Then I handed him a copy of the property deed, which I'd printed out weeks earlier. Just in case Karen tried to pull something like this, the officer studied the papers, then looked up at the gate again. "This is clearly private property," he said. "You're well within your rights." "Glad someone around here gets it," I replied. We walked back to the front, where Tyler was now standing smugly beside his mom. Karen had arrived sometime. While we were in the backyard, she had her arms folded, tapping one foot like I was about to be arrested for locking my own gate. "Well?" she asked. Chin tilted high. The officer didn't miss a beat. "Ma'am, your son made a false emergency call. That's a serious offense." Her face froze. "What?" "He thought someone was in danger." "No," the officer said firmly. "He called about not being able to access a private pool. That's not an emergency. That's a misuse of emergency services." Tyler tried to stammer out a defense, but it was too late. The officer gave Karen a written warning and told her the next incident would result in a fine, or worse, a criminal charge. She turned beet red, grabbed Tyler by the arm, and stormed off without another word. As the police car drove away, I stood there shaking my head, part of me fuming and part of me laughing at just how absurd the whole situation had been. I couldn't believe it. I was being harassed for locking my own pool, but I had no idea that this was just the beginning of Karen's campaign to make me the villain of the neighborhood. And trust me if you think this part was wild. Wait until you see how she tried to turn the entire HOA against me. After the cops left that afternoon, I thought maybe, just maybe, Karen and her son had finally gotten the message my property wasn't a free-for-all, and calling 911 because you got locked out of someone else's backyard wasn't just ridiculous. It was borderline criminal. But if I had learned one thing about Karen since moving in, it was this: she never backs down, even when she's dead wrong. Later that evening, I got a notification on my phone. Our neighborhood had a Facebook group run by the HOA, and it was mostly full of community updates, local lost pets, and people asking who to call for lawn care. But there it was, a post from Karen M** with a long, dramatic message and a photo of my locked pool gate. She'd taken it earlier, probably while waiting for the cops to show up. The caption read, "Very disappointed in some neighbors who think it's acceptable to hoard resources and be hostile toward neighborhood kids just trying to cool off. This pool has always been part of our community spirit, and now certain people think they can cut off access and treat children like criminals. Shameful behavior." Underneath were the hashtags: #let the kids swim, #HOA Unity, #disappointed, but not surprised. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Was she serious? She made it sound like I was some kind of villain straight out of a made-for-TV movie. Like I sat on my porch in a rocking chair cackling while I kept the neighborhood kids from having any fun. At first, I wasn't going to respond. I figured anyone with common sense could see right through her post. But then the comments started rolling in. Some folks, to their credit, had my back. Greater than, it's literally his pool. You can't just assume you get to use someone else's stuff. Greater than, if kids are climbing fences, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. He's protecting himself. But others bought Karen's story. I remember when the last family lived there, they never minded the kids. Greater than, it used to feel like a real community around here. Now it's all about me. That one really pissed me off. I'd been nothing but friendly since the day I moved in. I mowed my lawn, waved to neighbors, even volunteered at the HOA block party last year. But one woman lies loud enough, and suddenly people start believing her. So I did the only thing that made sense. I uploaded a video, clear, high-resolution footage from my security camera. It showed Tyler and his friends pulling at the locked gate, then me walking out, calmly telling them to leave, then them arguing and walking off. It ended with a timestamp proof they'd been trespassing before the 911 call was even made. The caption, simple and direct: greater than just protecting my property. Please teach your kids not to climb fences and call 911 when they don't get their way. It was like lighting a match in a gas-filled room. The video blew up in our group. People who had commented earlier started walking back their words. The likes and supportive comments piled up. One neighbor even posted, "Karen, your son's behavior was way out of line." This video makes it crystal clear. Karen didn't respond. Not a word. But within an hour, her post mysteriously vanished from the page. No apology, no clarification. Just gone. I thought maybe that was it. But then, 2 days later, I got an official letter in the mail, HOA stationery, embossed seal and all. It wasn't a warning or a fine, it was an apology. From the HOA president herself. She said she'd reviewed the incident, the police report, and the video I shared. She thanked me for handling things professionally and legally. And then she dropped the bombshell. Karen had apparently been overstepping her role on the HOA board for months. She wasn't even on the main board anymore, just a volunteer for a subcommittee related to landscaping. But she'd been telling everyone she had the authority to make decisions about shared spaces, architectural approvals, and in my case, pool access. As a result, the HOA held a vote. Karen was formally removed from her position *, whatever little title she had left *. The president added that they were revising some of the language in the HOA guidelines to better define what was considered common property versus private. It was everything I'd hoped for and honestly, a bit more than I expected. But the best part came the next morning. I stepped out to grab my mail, and there was Tyler. No friends, no smug look, just a kid walking with his head down. He glanced at me, and for the first time in weeks, he didn't say a word. No snark, no eye roll, just a nod before he kept walking. I didn't say anything back. I didn't need to. Word spread quickly. Over the next week, I had 3 different neighbors stop by and apologize for jumping to conclusions. A few of them even asked if they could get recommendations for the camera system I used. It was like something had shifted. Karen's grip on the neighborhood's attention, her ability to manipulate and control was finally cracking. Then came the for sale sign. 3 weeks after the incident, Karen's perfectly trimmed lawn had a shiny white sign stuck in it with bold red letters, "Coming soon." A week later, it flipped to active. She didn't post about it, didn't say goodbye. She just started packing boxes. Some folks said she was moving closer to her sister. Others thought the HOA pressured her out quietly. I didn't care either way. All I know is that the next time I stepped into my backyard, the sun was shining, the pool was crystal clear, and there wasn't a single uninvited splash in sight. The silence was golden. So here's the lesson I took from all this: stand your ground, keep your receipts, and when people try to bully you with fake authority, don't fold *, expose them *. Because the moment you let someone else define the rules on your own property, you stop being a homeowner and start being a doormat. And trust me, Karen picked the wrong yard to trespass on.